Howdy readers, I'm Jason. This is Chapter and Verse, and this evening I am going to do the representation book tag created by Iris Moon. I will link her original video down below. And I was tagged by Rashmika from Rashmika Likes Books, and I will link her version of the tag below as well. So prompt or question number 1, introduce yourself. What are your identities? So my name is Jason Cooper. I am British and Germanic by ancestry, as can be seen here in my DNA results. And I am American by birth, and I am a Wyomingite by choice. All right, so I know this tag was created so that people here on BookTube, who are really keen to see representation, diverse representation in novels, as a way for them to share and kind of explore within the community their own gender identities and their sexualities. I am not really the target subject for this tag, I don't think, given that I am a 40-some-year-old white heterosexual male living in Western America. But I really liked Rashmika's take on the tag, and I love the fact that she tagged me. I love that she, by tagging me and some of the other people that she tagged, was interested in seeing what kind of unexpected answers might be found with his tag. The net for it were kind of cast in unexpected directions, so I thought, what the hell, let's do it. So for myself, I'm going to draw a distinction as far as how I identify or what I identify as between what I am and what I claim or what I adopt. And so by what I am, I mean I'm an American, I am male, I am Caucasian, I am heterosexual. And as to what I claim, I am a Christian. Specifically, I am an Episcopalian, even though when I attend church, which is rarely, I attend a Presbyterian church. I am a pacifist. I am a staunch, unconditional pacifist. And I am an unapologetic liberal. And when I say I'm a liberal, I mean that if I were in Berkeley, California, I would be to the left of even a lot of people there. And so even though I am American and I am Caucasian, I am male, I am heterosexual, I identify as a Christian, I identify as a pacifist, and I identify as a liberal. Which means, given that I exist in a world principally populated by secular humanists, and by that I mean the people who I kind of rub elbows with, my closest friends, the readers that I know and love, including most of the people here on BookTube that I correspond with. Most of those people are agnostics or atheists. So I'm not close to a whole lot of Christians, actually, whose kind of intellectual pursuits or interests line up with my own. Even though I won't go so far as to say that that secular world is hostile to me as a Christian, it is hostile to Christianity in general, I think. And much of that Christians bring on themselves, actually. I also think of myself as an outsider as far as pacifism goes as well. So I live in Wyoming, and I have it on good authority from people who know that that most cars in the state of Wyoming have a gun in them. I don't believe in the right to bear arms. I don't believe in it. I really do think that that guns need to be essentially boiled down and public art made from them. It's an unpopular view in Wyoming. And as far as being a liberal in one of the reddest states in the country, that's another way in which I feel very much like an outsider day to day. So I would say the larger umbrella under which I identify is that of outsider. I really do feel like an outsider in many ways, despite the fact that, you know, as far as race is concerned and sex is concerned, and I guess, social status is concerned, I am very much in the majority in many ways. But somehow, any of us can really feel like outsiders. And I do. So, that was a long answer to number one. Number two, what was the first book or media in which you felt represented? So the first book I felt really represented me insofar as how I saw myself, how I felt in the world around me, and that was Jane Eyre, which I read when I was 18 or 19 years old, and I very much felt like Jane. I very much felt alone and kind of cast adrift in a hostile, cold world, and I still feel that way in many different ways. So I continue to identify with Jane Eyre. Number three, is there a character in your favorite book or genre that represents you? So other than Jane Eyre, there are a few I wanted to mention. And again, people are going to say, they're going to watch this video and be like, oh my God, here's a straight white man appropriating a lesbian character. But that's what I'm going to do. So I really identify with Nan in Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. So much so that when I first read this book, I was just hell-bent on writing a screenplay from it. Like, I wanted to be the person who wrote the screenplay for this novel. And so much so that I wrote to Sarah Waters and I essentially told her, I don't know how this works. I'm certain it doesn't work like this with, just a regular reader writing you a letter and inquiring after the film rights to this. But I told her, I said, even though I'm a straight white man in Western America, I feel like, I don't know, like I feel so close to this story in so many ways. And she and I embarked on a long correspondence about it, and became friends, and are friends to this day. And I still very much feel like Nan in Tipping the Velvet. I also very much identify with both Oscar Hopkins and Lucinda Leplastrier in Peter Carey's novel Oscar and Lucinda. I can't remember if this line is in the novel, but in the adaptation of the novel, the narrator at one point talks about Lucinda as a little girl and how her mother had raised her a proud square peg in a world full of round holes. And that is kind of me, actually. I'm a proud square peg in a world full of round holes. And Oscar and Lucinda are two kind of social misfits. They don't fit in. They don't really belong anywhere. But they find each other, and they belong to each other in deep, mysterious, beautiful ways. I also identify really strongly with another character from a Peter Carey novel, and that would be Tristan Smith in The Unusual Life of Tristan Smith. And Tristan Smith is a young man who is also disfigured and who is disabled, and people are frightened of him. People don't know what to make of him. And he has this beautiful, beautiful heart and these enormous dreams. And he's just one of the great heroic figures, to my mind, in contemporary literature. And he achieves that summit, for me, despite the fact, and maybe in some ways because of the fact, that he is such a marked outsider. And then lastly, for that question, I identify really strongly with the main character in Dave Eggers' novel, A Hologram for the King. And that would be Alan Clay, the character of Alan Clay. He is very much a fish out of water in this novel. He is a corporate salesman who is in Saudi Arabia to make a presentation, make a pitch to the king of Saudi Arabia. And the film is wonderful as well. Tom Hanks plays Alan Clay. So apart from the fact that he is, like I said, very much a fish out of water, a kind of misfit walking through the sands, he's also a salesman. And I'm a salesman. I'm an advertising salesman. So I just really love this novel. I really identify with this novel. Number 4. What was the worst representation of one of your identities that you have ever read? So I'm going to focus on my religious identity. I'm going to focus on Christians. And the worst representations I have ever found of Christians in fiction are in novels, ostensibly Christian novels published from within the Christian publishing industry. I am talking about books like the Left Behind series. I am talking about books like, I think it's called The Edge of Recall, which is by a writer named, I think, Kristen Heitzmann, something like this. They are dreadful. So these books that come from within the Christian publishing industry have the worst portraits of Christians, the most small-minded, bigoted, childish, simplistic portraits of Christians. They give Christians a bad name, really. And the books themselves are so badly written for the most part. They're so poorly written. I consider most of these novels to be offenses to God. I really feel like that the writers of these books would better serve God by spending time in a soup kitchen and feeding people who are hungry and who are cold and who are poor. Number 5, what is the best representation of one of your identities that you have ever read? So again, along those same lines, as far as my religion is concerned, 2 of the best Christian characters I have ever found in literature. And by best, I mean most complicated, most nuanced, most real, most authentic, most mysterious, would be Martin Quarrier in A Play in the Fields of the Lord by Peter Matheson. This is one of the better books I have ever read. And Martin Quarrier is a complex character, if ever there was one. He is a man who is a passionate believer, who wants to proselytize, who wants to spread the gospel, even to indigenous peoples who have never encountered it, who don't speak English. But he also wants to learn about those people, and he doesn't want to learn about indigenous cultures in order to exploit them. He's genuinely curious. He genuinely wants to know these people, and he genuinely loves these people, and he doesn't wish to change them so much as he wishes to share something that's so important to him with them. But the novel is just heartbreaking. His character arc is absolutely devastating. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah, he's one of the best, most interesting representations of Christianity I've ever encountered in literature. And then the last one I wanted to mention is Home by Marilynne Robinson, specifically the character of Glory, Glory Boughton. If you haven't read Marilynne Robinson's Gilead novels, this one, Gilead and Lila, and I haven't read Lila yet, you absolutely must. These are books that understand that religion is meant to be approached with great seriousness and great humility, and appreciation for things that we can't necessarily understand, but that we should always try to understand and always want to understand, frankly. Glory is just a beautiful character. And then lastly, number 6, do you think your identities are misrepresented or underrepresented in the books that you read? I would say that as far as Christians being represented in books is concerned, I would say that we are selectively represented in fiction, in film, in news stories. I think that people who are on the other side of the fence, spiritually or politically, from where many Christians are, although there are a lot of liberal Christians out there, just so everybody knows, there are a lot of us. I think that the media, and I think that that fiction and nonfiction both are more interested in giving us portraits of Christians that are easy to ridicule or knock down than it is to give us portraits of Christians that encourage reflection and introspection and really kind of examining our own relationship to those people being represented. So anyway, that is the representation book tag. I'm not going to tag anybody. I'm not sure who's done this. And I'm not sure who would feel comfortable doing this. It's a difficult tag for me to wrap my head around, and so I don't want to kind of put anybody else in that position necessarily. Although I'm really glad that Rashmika tagged me, so thank you, Rashmika. And I will get to your other tag, the poetry tag, here soon. Thanks for watching. I hope you're all doing well, and I will talk to you all again very soon. Adios.